From the very first Rocky movie in 1976 to the last Creed spin-off in 2018, here are all the key details you need to remember before Creed 3 hits theaters in just a few days. The connection between Rocky and Adonis Creed goes all the way back to the original movie, so Rocky wasn't just Adonis's trainer. The history between the two goes way back. The upcoming third installment of the Creed series will have a story that connects all the way back to the start of the franchise. Yep, it all started with Rocky's first encounter with Apollo Creed. In the original Rocky movie, Rocky Balboa, a relatively unknown boxer from Philadelphia, takes on the world heavyweight champion, Apollo Creed. Despite losing the fight, Rocky manages to stay standing for all 15 rounds. And this captured the audience's hearts and helped him become a star.
Oh, look at the blood coming out. Oh, he's spitting up blood now. Oh, he touched a tremendous right hand by Rocky.
Plus, it also sparked his rivalry-turned friendship with Apollo Creed. The friendship between Rocky and Apollo blooms. And then in Rocky 3, Apollo becomes Rocky's trainer and helps him defeat Clubber Lang. But then, in Rocky 4, Apollo decides to fight Ivan Drago, a super tough Soviet boxer, to defend the honor of America. Unfortunately, Drago ends up killing Apollo in the ring, which is a real tragedy. Rocky eventually gets his revenge by beating Drago in a fight. But Apollo's death is still really important to the story. And this is where we know that Apollo's death is the reason that he wasn't around to raise his son Adonis. This is also about the time that Rocky retires from the ring for the first time. After Rocky defeated Ivan Drago in Rocky 4, he retired from boxing due to the brain trauma he suffered during the fight. He hung up his gloves for a while until the events of Rocky 5. That's where he became the coach of a young fighter named Tommy the Machine Gun. But things didn't go so well, and Rocky ended up getting back into the ring to fight Gun in a street fight.
One more round. Come on, Rocky! Rocky, come on, Rocky!
Rocky eventually retired again, but he came out of retirement one more time for the 2006 film Rocky Balboa. At the age of 59, Rocky decided to fight Mason the Line Dixon, a much younger and more experienced boxer. The fight was a way for Rocky to prove to himself and others that he still had it in him, and even though he lost, he gave Dixon a run for his money. That's when Rocky finally retired for good, never again stepping into the ring as a boxer. Now, let's jump across to the Creed trilogy timeline, where we're eventually introduced to the son of Rocky's first rival. So, in the first Creed movie, we get introduced to Adonis Creed when he's a teenager locked up in a juvenile detention center. Adonis is actually the son of Apollo Creed, but because Apollo passed away, his wife Marianne Creed decides to track Adonis down, and in 1988, she finally finds him and adopts him.
I hurt myself, pushed family away.
I don't have no father.
What did you say?
I said I don't have no father.
Letting him know who his dad was. While Adonis is living with Marianne, he gets into boxing, even though he actually goes by his biological mother's surname Johnson at the time. And Marianne is a big part of Adonis's life even as he grows up. We see her in both Creed and Creed 2. Who knows if we'll see her in the upcoming movie too. And it all comes full circle when Adonis asks Rocky to coach him. After losing a fight to Danny the Stuntman Wheeler, Adonis realized that despite boxing for some time, he wasn't very skilled. Seeking to improve his abilities and step out of his father's shadow, Adonis sought out Rocky Balboa, who happens to be an old friend of his father Apollo, at his restaurant Adrian's in Philadelphia. Even though he's hesitant at first, Rocky agreed to train Adonis as a favor to Apollo and continued to support him throughout the first two Creed films. But his meeting at Adrian's was actually quite important in the grand scheme of things. It answered a question that's been lingering since Rocky 3. So, Rocky and Apollo fought a secret third match that ended abruptly at the start of the fight, and there was no winner. Here, Adonis asks Rocky who actually won that match. Turns out it was his father Apollo who had won, but there was bad news still for Rocky.
Since we're pretty much like family, who won the third fight?
You did.
he is diagnosed with lymphoma, which is a pretty serious type of cancer. If you think about it, Rocky's story is pretty sad. He's lost so many loved ones, Adrian, Paulie, Apollo, and even his coach Mickey, and it becomes even sadder when he's diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. That was in the first Creed movie. But then, Adonis convinces him to undergo chemotherapy. In Creed 2, Rocky seems to have recovered from cancer, but it's possible that the condition may have returned to Rocky, and they'll basically use that as the reason for killing him off, because we know for sure that he's not coming back for the third movie. The Creed movies are about Adonis, to be honest, so maybe won't miss Rocky as much. But there's another thing you need to remember about the first Creed movie. The time that Adonis Creed fights Ricky Conlan. Actually, that's pretty Ricky Conlan. The fight between the two is actually the climax of the first movie.
Most critics didn't think Creed could make it this far.
And it's an important point in the larger scheme of things for a few reasons. The fight is actually the first time that Adonis owns his father's legacy. He officially takes on the Creed surname. The match is also for the title of the World Lightweight Championship, which really takes me back to the original fight between Apollo and Rocky. And like Rocky, Adonis ends up losing the game, but he does become pretty famous because of it. This is the series of events that basically sets the stage for events that happen in Creed 2. And let's not forget the romance side of the plot. Adonis and Bianca have a baby girl. In Creed, Adonis gets with Bianca, a musician who confides in him that she's gradually losing her hearing. Despite this, their relationship flourishes and Bianca supports Adonis throughout his journey. While Bianca takes a back seat in Creed 2, Adonis proposes to her at the outset of the film and the two agree to tie the knot. Later, Bianca shares the news that she's expecting a child and they welcome their daughter Amara into the world. Sadly, Amara's also deaf, having inherited Bianca's hearing condition. Now, these characters haven't really been developed so far, so we might see more of them in the upcoming movie. While having a child of his own, Adonis finally avenges his father. He beats Victor Drago in the ring. Creed 2 pits Adonis Creed against Victor Drago, the son of the man who killed Apollo Creed.
Land something big.
Dig, dig. Downstairs.
In their first match, Adonis is the victim of some unsportsmanlike conduct, but still retains his World Heavyweight Champion title as Victor is disqualified. They meet again in a rematch where Adonis wins when Ivan throws in the towel. Victor and Ivan Drago's story continues with a spin-off, but I'm not sure if he'll be in Creed 3. Also, it seems like Adonis has finally achieved vengeance for his father's death, while Rocky is finally reunited with his son, and that could be the deal that sets up Stallone's exit from the franchise. Creed 2 ends on a sweet note. Rocky finally visits his estranged son in Canada. This is after he spends time with Adonis and his family. The scene is right at the end of the movie, so it could be that this is Rocky's happily ever after. And those are all the details you need to remember before Creed 3 hits